Hello, fellow Igniters, and welcome to today's community call. Today is November 7th. I am Tobias Schwarz, your solutions engineer at Ignite. And today we will be looking into what has happened the last weeks and what is going to happen in the next weeks with Ignite. So stay tuned. We are still working on the Ignite version 29.0. This is mostly due to the Cosmos SDK team still working on the version 0.52. And the version 0.52 will bring a couple of changes. We have already integrated them. You can, like, if you're a developer or if you're curious, you can check out the main branch on github.com/ignite/CLI. And there you find already the works for the upcoming version 0.52 for the Cosmos SDK. We have integrated everything that is already here, but it has not been released yet. So we have to wait a bit more patience, and then we can use the newest Cosmos SDK version as well, which brings so many advances. Our last bounty has been claimed. So the second bounty about in-place testnets. What is this? This means you can export a state of a chain at any point in time and then create a testnet out of that in order to work with a state that is already on the chain. So let's say you have a mainnet and you want to test a certain feature with the active users as they are. You export the state and you create a testnet immediately with in-place testnet. It's a command that is now available to you in the Ignite CLI. And the next one, nearing completion, the next bounty was about having not only one node, but multiple nodes running this testnet to come even closer to mainnet conditions of your blockchain. So check out the in-place testnet. We will also be providing a tutorial for you how to step-by-step do this very soon. But just check out the Ignite CLI help, and there you'll find the testnet command and try it out. It works pretty quick and pretty well. We are also working on a new bounty that we will be releasing very soon, and this will be about creating new Ignite apps. I will go through a couple of app ideas with you in this community call. We will publish a list as well, which apps will be eligible for the new bounty that we will be publishing. Don't forget, you can also build your consumer chains with Ignite CLI. So we are still fully supporting ICS, the interchain security system, and you can build consumer chains with Ignite CLI. We are also preparing a walkthrough in video, but currently as a tutorial on tutorials.ignite.com, you can find a tutorial on how to create consumer chains, but also the more advanced version in where you create a consumer chain, you put up a provider chain as well on your local host, and then hook up that consumer chain so you get to know the workflow of consumer and provider chains. We are working on a couple of apps and extensions for the Ignite CLI, which will be the Connect app that allows you to connect to other networks in the ecosystem. The module registry, which allows you to browse all the modules that you have in the Cosmos ecosystem. So not only on the Cosmos Hub, but also all the other blockchains in existence have different modules, and maybe you want to use them. Maybe they are open source and free to use, and you want to include them. So we want to open up this space more, that more creativity can flow in the blockchains, and you can try out on your local host different modules, how they fit together. Create a multi in-place testnet, multi-node in-place testnet with those modules, and you're actually very close to mainnet scenario. And yeah, hopefully this allows for very new creative chains to be created. And we will be publishing a marketplace very soon where you can list all the Ignite apps that exist, but also if you are working on an Ignite app that helps users to build, then you can list it there. We are also working on our own modules. We have a couple of modules developed that you can use. For example, the crowdfunding app the crowdfunding module can be extremely handy, but we have a couple of modules. You can browse them currently in our repositories. And we are always asking you to fill out the developer survey. We want to know what we are doing good, what we're doing bad, and this is the best place for you to give us the feedback. So very quickly, again, just to remind you, I've talked about this in the last community call. It is pretty simple to actually create your own consumer chain. So you scaffold your chain the way you have done before. You just add the flag -- consumer, and then you will have a consumer chain. The app wiring will be slightly different, but then you can hook it up to a provider chain. And in case you don't want to find your own validator set, but want to be a sidechain for the Cosmos Hub, a consumer chain, this would be the way you do it. Yeah, and check out the tutorial on tutorialsignite.com. Build your interchain security consumer chain. Our apps is let's have a quick look at the current repository. So this is the Spaceship app. You will find it. I will talk about more about this soon, actually. But if you go to github.com/ignite/apps, you will find our apps that we develop. There can also be apps that sit in different repositories by community builders, and these are the official Ignite apps. We have the app registry, we have the consumer app, we have a couple of example apps for you to help building your own app, an Explorer app, the abstraction, Hermes, the Rollkit app to build your own Rollkit chain, Spaceship app to deploy, WASM app to add Cosmos to your blockchain. I think this is already a very bullish list of apps. They can be so helpful for you to build astonishing apps. So feel free to click through them and or install them on your local Ignite and try them out. The Spaceship app is one of our newest additions. Thanks so much to Danilo for creating this. Spaceship lets you deploy your blockchain onto any server. If you host a VPS, if you have a server at home where you want to run your blockchain, or any other scenario, you want to use Spaceship. We have created a tutorial for you how to deploy with Spaceship, but you can always look at the README files and the code on GitHub Ignite apps, and then click on Spaceship. Let's quickly go into this tutorial so you get an idea of how Spaceship works. So let's see you have scaffolded your blockchain and you have created your module, you work your way, and now it's time for a permanent testnet, for example, and you want to deploy it on a server. Simply use the Ignite Spaceship deploy and then add your username at IP. It depends on how you're logging in. If you're using password or if you're using keys, then use the appropriate way to connect and make sure that you have access to your server. And then it's just the Spaceship deploy command. What happens when you use it? It builds the blockchain binary, sets up the chain home directory based on your configuration, connects to the specified SSH server, establishes workspaces on the remote server, it transfers the binary, and executes the binary using a runner script. So with deploy, you can not only send your blockchain to the server, you can also run it or restart it or stop it on that server, all with Spaceship. So you can use, after deploying, you can check the status using Spaceship status. You can check the logs. You can restart the blockchain, or you can stop the blockchain. In case of redeployment to the same server without overwriting the home directory, use the init chain flag. This will reinitialize the chain if necessary. Your chain gets configured in the same way as usual in the config.yaml file, and in here you can also decide the pruning strategy or the moniker or the kind of output. So check this out, check the tutorial, use Spaceship for deployment, and it can make your life much easier. So we have always asked ourselves what are the most used commands. We have compiled a list right now, and in case you're curious about the most used commands with Ignite CLI, I'm not so much surprised that is Ignite chain serve. I think this is one of the hottest features actually Ignite has since the beginning of its existence. It deploys your blockchain locally. It builds the profiles, it creates a home directory, it creates a Genesis file for you. You have your configuration in the config YAML. You can restart it anytime. Either you want to start from scratch or you want to start with the current state. It's just so powerful and so convenient to get your blockchain running. Next popular command is the Ignite chain build. Generate protocol is also used a lot of times. Scaffolding modules or scaffolding chains entirely. It's not surprising to see them a bit lower in the list since they are usually used once and then worked on that, and then you'll use repeatedly Ignite chain serve. The Hermes command is used a lot, and scaffolding types. This I actually would have expected a bit more higher in the list because scaffolding types is much more often used usually than scaffolding a new module or a new chain. And then as well as Ignite chain debug, I'd expect it to be used a bit more. Maybe we need to advertise the debug feature of Ignite a bit more. It's actually extremely convenient and helpful for your chain. And Ignite chain init is the least used, also as expected, as it's preparing for a testnet or a mainnet, and therefore kind of a step much less used than Ignite chain serve. There's a question. Yes, Michelle.
Were there any, I guess, that didn't show up that surprised you that weren't there?
Good question.
Or you think people could use them more and maybe they're not as obvious?
Let me go into I need a bit of help here. 1 second. Let's have a look at the commands again. So we have scaffold, creating your blockchain module message. Yeah, queries actually, scaffolding queries, I thought, or messages in general could be used much more. Yeah, I'm a bit surprised not to see those in the list. But the list is just for the last week. So for the next community call, we can consider to take a longer time span to see this for maybe it's just not the last weeks that it has been used so much.
Yeah, maybe an end of 2024.
Yeah, very good idea.
As we move into the next year.
Yeah, working with Ignite accounts has not been used at all. I think a tutorial could be helpful here on how to use accounts. Yeah, I think I'd also love to see the apps being used more. They would also show up in this list, and they haven't been used so much yet. But this will come. Apps are so fresh in our code base that we still need to tell people that they exist, and then they'll get started. They will use them more. As always, don't forget to check out tutorials.ignite.com. We have now compiled a list of more than 20 tutorials for your convenience to learn everything around the Cosmos SDK and how to use Ignite CLI to build your own blockchain in all various types, how to build modules, how to build clients, trying to explain a little bit about the workings of consensus or what other spotlights do we have? Version control, which is extremely important in the Cosmos SDK, which also plays a big role in migrating from one version to another. But a lot of focus as well on creating different modules for you. So check this out. And subscribe to get alerted when there's new tutorials coming. As always, please fill out the developer feedback survey. This will help us knowing if we're going into the right direction for developers. Great. Any questions? Yes.
Megan, I was curious, what would be the app you would like to see most on Ignite?
You remind me, I wanted to go through the list of
Exactly.
Ignite apps. I got distracted by the great Spaceship app. So we will be hosting a bounty very soon about creating Ignite apps from the community. And we have done a brainstorming for the apps. And let me go through the list with you so you learn what kind of apps could be created and could be helpful. So these are just kind of our playful ideas, but we think could be extremely helpful in streamlining development. For example,
Is it possible to just
increase?
Yeah.
That better?
Yeah.
We have the Interchain Transaction Tracker, an app specifically designed for tracking and visualizing interchain transactions and activities, especially useful for chains utilizing ICA and ICQ features, so that you can see what kind of transaction are flowing around and helps you understanding networks, but it also can be built in the gas that they are using or different statistics for that. So this could be extremely helpful in finding out which transactions are more heavy for the network, which are more lightweight, maybe where people get stuck with having wrong settings for the gas. This is a lot of frustration for the whole ecosystem when they don't know how much gas to use. Such an app could be very helpful to figure out if users are using gas properly, and if not, how to help them. We have thought about an interoperability testbed. Since Ignite is focused on interoperability, provide tools that help test and ensure compatibility with different blockchains and protocols, enhancing the ability to create cross-chain application. I think a part of this is already solved by the in-testnet and multi-node testnet commands, but this can be taken to the next step to provide tools that help test and ensure compatibility with different blockchains. So, for example, this could be extremely helpful for bridges to see how they are compatible with IBC in order to have cross-chain communication. But there could be much more cross-chain applications in IBC. I think this is heavy underutilized, that IBC is such an open protocol, and we have just like 5 or 6, maybe 7 different modules leveraging IBC, and there could be much, much more with that greatly written open protocol. And such an app could help going that way. Monitoring and logging utilities app. Develop advanced monitoring and logging tools that provide real-time insights into blockchain performance, transaction log, and smart contracts events. This would come extremely handy in combination with the WASM app to monitor and see utilities of different smart contracts and how they interact, actually how they get stored on your blockchain, how much bytes they use, how much gas they're using. So this could be very helpful in finding out also on real life networks, kind of which contracts are better suited to certain events and which are maybe could be improved a lot. So you could find out with having such a monitoring and logging utility app. Simulation environments to simulate. The simulation tools that allow developers to test blockchain protocols, smart contracts in a controlled environment. This can include simulating high traffic network conditions, testing interchain communication, experimenting with different consensus mechanisms. So this, for example, this could mean you spam your networks with a couple of thousands of transactions. What would happen to your blockchain? All kind of transactions, not only a send transaction, but also voting, delegating, smart contract interactions, smart contract uploading. All these kind of simulations could be written, and then you could have a couple of settings, for example, how many transactions or at which rate they get kind of put onto your blockchain. And then together with a monitoring tool, this would be extremely handy to find out what your blockchain actually can handle in different transactions. And the next app could be an automated testing and benchmarking tool, a tool that automates the process of deploying contracts, sending transactions, or loading the network, and then reports on performance metrics. This would be useful for the developers looking to stress test their blockchain under different scenarios. So very similar to the app that we just described. Those both apps could be extremely helpful in simulating and benchmarking your blockchain. And then to help on optimizing your chain could be a resource optimization analyzer app. There would be an app that analyzes resource usage like gas for transactions, storage, and etc., and suggests optimizations. It could provide insights on how to structure transactions or contracts more efficiently. So not only analyzing, but also providing some solutions or showing the way of optimizing your blockchain and transactions. What would be extremely cool would be a developer education platform, incorporate interactive tutorials, documentation, and learning resources directly into the Ignite CLI. This can help onboard new developers quickly and keep them updated with the best practices and new features. So instead of just having the tutorials in a text format, such an app could help guiding through the different steps and explaining what exactly to do. And then you just hit enter instead of having to type it into your terminal and see what happens. And this could be handy for newcomers or for anyone wanting to learn, maybe even in a simulated environment, so that you can test out without any direct consequences. A blockchain explorer with advanced query capabilities app enhance your existing internal blockchain explorer to support complex queries, allowing developers to easily search for specific transaction, blocks, or smart contract interaction based on various criteria. Not sure if you're aware that you can also build UIs within the terminal. So this could be extremely handy to have a blockchain explorer with query capabilities inside your terminal, and you don't have to leave the terminal in order to look anything up. And it's also should be much more lean than any other explorer out there. Should be straightforward since it's querying your own node, and should be speeding up explorers in general. Another idea is the decentralized application performance monitor, an app that provides insight into the performance of apps running on the blockchain, like execution time of smart contracts, functions. Again, we have the gas users and other interactions and user interaction, it says. But the idea of this is to have to really understand all the WASM or EVM smart contracts that are running on your chain, and see if there's ways, maybe some smart contracts are actually congesting or loading way too long, and there sometimes is just a small tweak needed to improve that. Such an app could help very good in order to find those and then help you improve these smart contracts. Chain event notifications app. I think this is actually straightforward, but extremely helpful. An app that sends notifications via the terminal or connected messaging service like Slack or Telegram for specified events such as large transactions, smart contract deployments, significant changes in gas prices. This would keep developers informed about important activities on their chain. And last but not least, the Code Quality Analyzer app implement tools that analyze smart contracts code for best practices, common mistakes, and adherence to coding standards. This can help improve the overall quality and security of the code. This is probably a bit more complex, but especially with the help of AI in these days, this can be quite straightforward to implement, and then could be a huge help for developers to improve the quality and security of the blockchains. So this is the list that we have compiled and thought about. If that would ever exist, I think it would be extremely kind of bootstrapping developers' workflow and actually help the chains become much more efficient. So let's hope to see most of these apps in 2025. So we are creating a bounty to have at least a couple of them created with a reward. So go for it. Any more questions? Well, with no more questions, I thank you for the attendance and for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next month and then in the next year. So stay tuned with Ignite and see you next time. See you on Discord or on other places. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.